Thank you, Val. Our gospel this morning comes from John, the second chapter. 3 days later, there was a wedding in the village of Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there. Jesus and his disciples were guests also. When they started running low on wine at the wedding banquet, Jesus' mother told him, "They're just about out of wine." And Jesus said, "Is this any of our business, Mother, yours or mine? This isn't my time. Don't push me." She went ahead telling the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." 6 stoneware water pots were there, used by the Jews for ritual washing. Each held 20 to 30 gallons. And Jesus ordered the servants, "Fill the pots with water." And they filled them to the brim. "Now fill your pitchers and take them to the host," Jesus said. And they did. When the host tasted the water that had become wine, he did not know what had just happened, but the servants knew, of course. He called out to the bridegroom, "Everybody I know begins with their finest wines, and after the guests have had their fill, brings in the cheap stuff. But you have saved the best till now." This act in Galilee, in Cana of Galilee, was the first sign Jesus gave, the first glimpse of his glory, and his disciples believed in him. And after this, he went down to Capernaum along with his mother, brothers, and disciples, and stayed several days. When we lived in the Twin Cities attending Luther Seminary, I remember walking up to the center of campus, walking up a hill to the center of campus, where there was a bus stop for the local elementary students. A big yellow bus was scheduled to pick up my eldest son and take him to his first day of kindergarten. I was nervous, excited, and a bit worried. I knew he was going to be just fine, but there was this nagging nervousness of what awaited him on his first day. And yet, I didn't want him to see my worry, right? So instead, I cheered him on, encouraged him to sit close to the front of the bus near the bus driver, and to have a good day. We had toured the school, we had met his teacher, and all of his supplies were ready and there at school. He was going to be just fine. I had to trust that Xavier would figure it out. And guess what? He did. I still get this feeling each time he leaves for school, even as he enters his 3rd semester of college. It took everything I had on Friday not to text him and say, "Pick up your school books," right? Like, once a mom, always a mom. In today's gospel lesson, Jesus' mother is there at the start of Jesus' public ministry. And you get a sense that she is there encouraging him as he launches on into his own. She knows him enough to know that he can fix the wine problem, and she trusts that he will do the right thing. She sees something in him that few other people have yet to see, but will soon come to see. In essence, she's saying, "You've got this. You'll do great." Jesus, well, I'm not so sure if Jesus is completely ready to go public. He says, "Woman," which culturally and historically is not disrespectful, but to our ears, it kind of is. "What concern of this is this to me and to you?" Jesus must feel the weight of his mother's expectations and is feeling a bit challenged. "My hour has not come yet," he tells her. And while we know what the hour is that Jesus speaks of, his death, his resurrection and ascension, this too is a moment. And Mary knows it. How she knows it, we don't know. I can imagine Mary witnessed and marveled at many things as Jesus grew up. I bet he was a handful, for sure. But here in this moment, Mary trusts Jesus to pull off a miracle. We too are living in a moment with expectations of Jesus. Some of us are struggling to trust that Jesus will show up and fix our problems, while others of us don't see a problem, or maybe echo Jesus' words of, "What concern is it of me?" If you have grown up hearing year after year the stories of the disciples willfully and without hesitation jumping up to follow Jesus, you might miss a key part in this story. Here in John, it is after the 6 jars of water are turned into wine that the first of his signs, that the disciples believed in him, the text tells us. Did it take a tangible sign for his disciples to trust him? It seems so for Nathanael, who voiced his doubts earlier. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? We too yearn for signs and miracles. And if it took a real intangible sign for the disciples who walked alongside Jesus, for them to believe in him, are we so foolish to ask for the same? After Nathanael is surprised to learn of Jesus having seen him under a fig tree prior to Philip calling him to join them, Jesus makes a promise to Nathanael and to the other disciples that they will see even greater things. What do you need to see? What would it take for you to trust in Jesus as the Messiah, the Christ? Would water turned into wine be enough for us today? As I personally reflect on this question, I'm not sure water turned into wine would be miraculous enough. They might take my pastor card away for saying that. But I reckon that I am more like the people of the first century, whose expectations of the Messiah was that of more power and might than a few measly miracles. And when Jesus doesn't live up to my expectations, I would be right alongside those who cried out, "Crucify him," if I was honest. Thankfully, it's not up to me how God chooses to show up in the world. Thankfully, it's not about me who determines what is more miraculous and necessary. Thankfully, it is not up to me to muster the courage to get on the bus. Thankfully, it is not about me. And there's the heart of the truth. It is not up to you or to me or whether we trust Jesus enough in order for God's glory to be revealed. And believe me, we live in a world that is insistent that we are in control, that we are in the driver's seat, and that glorious things will take place once we unlock the key to complete and total faith and trust in God. When in reality, most of us are simply running up the hill trying not to be late for the bus, right? Anyone there with me? Yes. But don't worry. God's got you. And I don't mean to oversimplify it or to overstate on God's behalf, but I do intend to point out God's presence in our lives. As simple as our needs are, Jesus fulfills them. God's glory comes on its own because Jesus does show up in the grief, the frustration, in the sorrow, and at the party. Jesus sees our silly human needs, which honestly are big, important needs, and gives to us abundantly. Grace upon grace. Whatever you need to be filled in your life, Jesus fills it to the brim. Not with mediocre offerings, but with extravagant gifts. We can come to the party. We can come to Jesus empty, disconnected, void, inept, and Jesus pours out grace upon us abundantly. And that is the true comfort of Christ. God's glory is revealed in small but meaningful ways. At a week-long wedding party, at the bedside of a loved one who is dying, in a feast of rich food and well-aged wines with friends, as little feet climb the stairs into the bus each fall, in the waters of baptism and in ancient promises. In the moments when you least expect it, God shows up. And when the evening comes and the busy world is hushed and the fever of life is over and our work is done, God shows up with one more surprise, to wipe away the tears from all faces and to carry us over into the resurrection and into the promise of ascension. And so until then, we continue to show up. We share and encourage one another in faith. We practice our shared humanity. And to paraphrase theologian Walter Brueggemann, we tell the truth in a society that lives in illusion. We grieve with others in a culture that practices denial. And we express hope in a world that lives in despair. Be of good courage. Get on the bus. I have faith in you, and I have faith in the one who drives the bus. You've got this. We've got this. The best is yet to come. Amen.